Kira of the Velion Empire knelt on the crystalline bridge of her flagship, watching the human fleet advance through the void. Her 3 hearts beat in perfect synchronization, each pulse echoing the rhythm of inevitable defeat. The humans had cornered her forces in the Theta sector after a brutal 3-month campaign that had cost both sides countless lives. "Your Highness," her advisor whispered, his scaled face etched with concern. "The surrender beacon is ready for transmission." Kira's violet eyes remained fixed on the tactical display. 47 ships remained from her original fleet of 200. The humans, despite suffering heavy losses, still commanded over 100 vessels. Her people were exhausted, their energy weapons running on reserve power, their shields flickering like dying stars. The war had begun when the Velion Empire encountered humanity's expanding colonies. What started as territorial disputes had escalated into full-scale conflict when diplomatic negotiations collapsed. The Velion, proud descendants of an ancient warrior culture, had expected swift victory against these newcomers to the galactic stage. They had gravely underestimated human tenacity. "Begin the surrender protocol," Kira commanded, her voice heavy with the weight of failure. Her ancestors would curse her name for generations, but she would not watch her remaining crews die for pride alone. As her communications officer reached for the beacon controls, an unexpected transmission crackled through their receivers. The voice was young, speaking accented galactic standard with distinctly human inflection patterns. "Princess Kira, this is Tom Blake of the Earth vessel Phoenix. Please hold transmission of any surrender signals. I repeat, hold all surrender signals." Kira's advisor hissed in confusion. "Who dares interrupt official military communications?" The human voice continued before anyone could respond. "Your Highness, I'm a xenology student from Mars University, currently observing this conflict as part of my graduate research. I've been monitoring both fleet communications for the past week, and I believe there's been a catastrophic misunderstanding." Admiral Hayes of the human fleet immediately cut into the channel. "Student Blake, you are ordered to maintain communication." "Silence. This is a military operation." "With respect, Admiral," Tom replied, "I think you need to hear this. Princess, your people aren't fighting for territorial expansion, are they? You're fighting because your whole world is dying." Silence fell across both fleets. Kira felt her 3 hearts skip in unison. How could this young human know what her own high command had classified beyond top secret? Tom's voice grew more confident. "I've been analyzing patterns in your fleet movements, your resource allocation, even the emotional stress indicators in your crew's biosignatures that leaked through your quantum communications. You're not conquerors. You're refugees." "Impossible," Admiral Hayes snapped. "Intelligence reports clearly indicate aggressive expansion." "Intelligence reports can be wrong, sir," Tom countered respectfully. "Princess Kira, your sun is entering premature stellar collapse, isn't it? That's why you've been so desperate to secure these systems. Not for empire building, but for relocation." Kira's advisor looked at her with wide eyes. The human student had deduced in weeks what their diplomats had failed to communicate in months of negotiations. "Young human," Kira said softly, her voice carrying across the void, "how did you reach this conclusion?" "Your tactical decisions, Your Highness." Every engagement showed clear signs of resource conservation rather than resource expenditure. Your ships prioritize defensive positions that preserve civilian evacuation routes. Your targeting patterns avoid infrastructure that could support population centers. These aren't the actions of conquerors. Admiral Hayes cut in again. "Even if true, they attacked our colonies first." "No, sir," Tom replied with growing excitement. "They conducted reconnaissance missions that were misinterpreted as attacks. When our forces responded with hostility, The Velion assumed we were rejecting their requests for sanctuary. Both sides have been fighting a war neither wanted. The tactical displays on both fleets showed movement as ships held position, waiting for commanders to process this revelation. Tom continued his analysis. Admiral, the Velion possessed terraforming technology that could turn our marginal worlds into garden planets. Princess Kira, humanity has vast unexplored territories that could accommodate your population. Instead of fighting over systems neither of us can fully utilize alone, we could be sharing resources. The student makes compelling points, Kira admitted, rising from her kneeling position. Our sun will collapse within 50 cycles. We need new worlds not for conquest, but for survival. Admiral Hayes remained silent for long moments before responding. Why didn't your diplomatic corps communicate this during negotiations? Because, Kira said with bitter irony, admitting weakness to potential enemies goes against every instinct my people possess. We are warriors. Begging for help is more difficult than facing death. Tom's voice brightened. But that's exactly why this could work. Humanity respects warrior cultures. We understand honor and strength. If the Velion had approached us as equals seeking mutual benefit rather than as desperate refugees, the response would have been completely different. A 20-year-old human student has solved what our combined diplomatic corps could not, Kira mused. She looked around her bridge crew, seeing hope replacing despair in their expressions. Admiral Hayes cleared his throat. Student Blake, wow. Your analysis is impressive. Military protocols still apply. However, I'm willing to authorize a temporary ceasefire for further discussion. Actually, Admiral, Tom said with audible nervousness, I may have already taken some initiative regarding that. I've been broadcasting this conversation on open channels to both Earth Command and the Velion High Council. The silence that followed was deafening. You did what? Admiral Hayes demanded. I figured transparency might prevent any backroom deals that could restart this conflict, Tom explained quickly. Both governments are now aware of the real situation. Public opinion on Earth is already shifting toward humanitarian assistance rather than military action. Princess Kira found herself laughing, a sound her bridge crew hadn't heard in months. This human child has more courage than both our military establishments combined. Over the following hours, as fleets maintained their positions, negotiations began in earnest. Tom Blake, the graduate student who had prevented a surrender and potentially saved 2 civilizations, found himself appointed as unofficial mediator between species. The war that had claimed hundreds of thousands of lives ended not with surrender, but with partnership. Humanity gained access to advanced Velion biotechnology, while the Velion secured new worlds for their dying population. Years later, historians would mark this moment as the beginning of the first true interstellar alliance, born from the insight of a young human who chose understanding over assumptions and courage over protocol.